To run the motor direct, you need to make a homemade test cord like this. You could use the cord from an old appliance that you're going to throw away. You will need two wires about 14 inches long of a different color. You will need 4 male quick disconnect terminals like this. You could get them at Home Depot or Radio Shack. Bend the wires in half and strip the ends like this. Then apply solder to the ends. Strip the 2 wires at the end of the cord like this. Using a good crimping tool, crimp the 4 male quick disconnect terminals to the wires like this. Solder the 2 wires to the cord like this, and use electrical tape to insulate the connections. When you finish, your test cord should look like this. A power cord with 4 male quick disconnect terminals attached to it. According to this wiring schematic, to be able to run the motor direct to see if it runs or not, you need to apply about 120 AC volts to the motor at this point on the starting winding between M3 and M7, and on the high-speed running winding between M1 and M6. This color chart on the wiring schematic will show you the color of the wires. Just keep watching the video and you'll see how easy it is to do it. To run the motor direct, you need to use the wire harness on the motor. But before you could do that, you need to separate the wire harness from the washer. Follow the wire harness up to here. Then you need to isolate these wires from the wire harness. The blue, orange, violet with a white trace, red and white wires. Now that you have all the wires isolated, take a pair of scissors and cut the wires like this. You will need to strip the end of the wires and put some solder on the tip of each one of the wires, like this. You will need 5 female quick disconnect terminals like this and 5 male quick disconnect terminals like this one. You should be able to get these quick disconnect terminals at Radio Shack, Lowe's, or Home Depot. Using a good pair of crimping pliers, attach the female quick disconnect terminals to the wires going to the motor. Make sure that you attach the female quick disconnect terminals to the wires. If you connect the wrong ones, the test cord terminals are not going to connect to the wires going to the motor. Attach the male quick disconnect terminals to the wires going to the timer. Make sure that you attach them good so they don't come off. When you finish testing the motor, all you have to do is put the wires together like this. Now that you have everything ready, let me show you how to run the motor with the test cord. Disconnect the washer from the wall outlet. Disconnect the following wires: the orange, the blue, the red, and the violet white wire. The white wire is a low speed and we don't want to use that now. The reason I asked you to use 2 different colors on the wires at the end of the cord is because it's easy to follow what I'm trying to tell you. If you connect the red and blue wires to one side of the test cord and the orange and violet white to the other side, when you connect the test cord to the wall outlet, the motor should run on a clockwise direction or spin. Disconnect the test cord from the wall outlet. If you connect the red and orange wires to one side of the test cord and the blue and violet white to the other side, put a little bit of water on the tub and plug the test cord to the wall outlet. The motor should run on a counterclockwise direction or agitation. Disconnect the test cord from the wall outlet. That was the way that the motor should run when you apply electricity to the motor with a test cord. If the motor doesn't do anything, or it make it sound like this and it won't start, you got a bad motor. If the motor starts with no problem and you want to find out if the motor overheats or not, let it run for about 15 minutes on the spin cycle, then unplug the test cord. Make sure that you don't let nobody put their hands inside of the spinning drum, especially kids. So please don't leave the machine unattended, okay? Connect the test cord on the wall outlet. If the machine starts running okay with no problem, the motor should be okay. If the motor hums or growls or it won't start, then you're going to need a new motor. Disconnect the washer from the wall outlet. Remove the front panel. Lean the washer against the wall, making sure that it's not going to fall down. Remove these two pump holding screws. Remove all these screws and open the bottom panel. Disconnect the wire harness from the motor. Turn the transmission pulley clockwise to get the transmission in this position to make it easier to remove the motor. Remove the 4 motor holding nuts. And remove the belt. Grab the motor, turn it like this, and take it right out. Grab your new motor and put it on top of the transmission like this. Turn it until the screws go through the holes on the mounting plate. Place the belt around the motor pulley, then around the transmission pulley. Screw in the motor holding nuts, but leave them loose. Pull on the motor to stretch the belt to the right tension and tighten the holding nuts. And check the belt to make sure that it's tight enough. Remove the screw from the cabinet ground wire. Grab the wire harness coming from the motor and cut all the wires like this. Connect the new wire harness to the new motor. Secure the ground wire to the cabinet with a screw. And secure the wire harness to the cabinet with the plastic wire harness holder. Since I'm installing a used motor just to show you how to do it, I don't have all the parts that come with the new motor. This is just to show you how I do it. I use a piece of heat shrinking tube as insulation. Then I put the wires together like this. I apply solder with a soldering gun. I move the heat shrinking tube to the location I wanted to insulate and then use a match to shrink the heat shrinking tube. This way I get a real good connection and I know it's not going to come apart. Do the same to each one of the wires. Most likely what the manufacturer is going to ask you to do is to match the color of the wires on the new wire harness with the color of the wires on the wire harness on the machine. The yellow wire on the washer wire harness doesn't get spliced to anything. You will need to attach a quick disconnect terminal to the wire. You will need to take the star capacitor and attach it to the cabinet with the 2 plastic straps that come with it, like this. Connect these two yellow wires to the star capacitor. Keep all the wires together by wrapping electrical tape around them like this. Anchor the wire harness to the shock absorber with electrical tape like this. Make sure the wires are loose enough so when the washer goes into the spin cycle, it doesn't rip the wires. This is the way that it should look when you're done with it. Close the bottom panel and secure it with the holding screws. Screw in the two pump holding screws. Stand up the washer and install the front panel. Connect the washer to the wall outlet. Set the timer on the spin cycle and turn it on to see if the washer works. If it worked like this, you did a good job. If it doesn't work, you need to go back and find out what you did wrong.